legacy, security, and the power of smart financial planning. These are the pillars of Kotak Life's latest campaign, Viraasat Ban Ke Hi Rahegi. But what inspired this message and how does it connect with the evolving aspirations of Indian consumers? Today we have with us Ashish Nair, CMO and Head Customer Value Management and Health Tech at Kotak Life, to take us through the campaign's journey, the changing landscape of BFSI marketing, and how Kotak Life is staying ahead in a rapidly transforming market. Ashish, welcome to the show. It's great to have you with us here today.
It's a pleasure being here. Thank you.
So let me get straight into it, Ashish, and ask you, this campaign, of course, is based on the insight of legacy and financial security. But tell me a little bit about the core consumer insights that were driving the idea, driving the campaign. What was the genesis of it in that sense?
Okay. So actually the genesis of the campaign is where India is at this point in time, right? India is on rocket fuel. We have a healthy economic growth. The per capita income of the country and of the people is increasing. So now when the per capita income is increasing, people are spending, right? People are consuming, people are buying, people are building. So they are in this complete fulfill my aspirations mode. Now, while they're doing all of this, there is something that has taken a backseat, which is security. Indians know that security is important, but somewhere in all of this consumption frenzy, it's taken a backseat. And you'll see a lot of reports that say that, look at luxury goods that are being sold, it's going to double by 2030. Around 1.5 crore Indians traveled in the first half of 2024. A lot of these statistics out there and these consumption increase. But if you look at life insurance penetration, it's somewhere in the range of 2.8 to 3% of GDP, right? So while people understand that it's important to protect and secure, that has not increased as much, right? So the government is doing a lot of things. The government has this whole vision of insurance for all by 2047. So that's in place. The IRDAI, our regulator, is coming up with various initiatives to increase accessibility, affordability, and awareness. It's called the Bima Trinity, right? So that is what they are doing. But for us as companies also, it's very important to open people's mind to considering life insurance, even in this consumption frenzy. And that's where this whole thought came that how can we make life insurance more and more relevant to this audience? Because at the core of life insurance lies protection, right? And the core of protection lies term insurance. So how do you make term insurance a relevant tool to today's Indian? So that is where we started. And that was the genesis, really, of how this campaign came about. So when we went and met consumers, we met distributors, we looked at people who are not even possibly buying the category, and we understood what is their relation with finance and money today, and how they're looking at protection and security for their family. Because people still want to secure their families, they still want to secure their loved ones, but then why are they not looking at term insurance or this product for that?
And why was that?
Yeah, and that's where we came across something very interesting. So in our culture, one of the key desires that one has is providing something substantial for their loved ones. It's a kind of legacy, right? They want to leave behind something substantial that will create security and stability for future generations. So that is pretty core to what they want to do. For that, these people are building assets of various kinds today. People are investing in houses, a second home. People are accumulating cash. They're toying with various kinds of financial instruments today because there's more money, there is more awareness. People are looking at various financial instruments. There is people also saving a lot of money. So technically, life insurance was sold as a safety tool. कि अगर आपको कुछ हो जाता है, then this would come in use. But people are saying, I'm already doing so much. All this is the safety net that I have. So why do I need another safety net, right? Really? So that's when we realized that possibly we need to help people relook at the category in a different way. And that's how we try to reposition it through this campaign, where we're saying that you're doing so much, to build a legacy for your family. But legacies are not built overnight. They're built over a period of time.
Absolutely.
What if something happens to you during this building? Then what happens? So we then position life insurance as an instrument that complements this building. In case something has to happen, the large sum assured that you get through life insurance can then be used to complete those streams. So it can be used to pay off the EMI of the house, or it can be used to invest the money towards a certain goal, because you get a large sum of money if something happens in life insurance. So that's how we are saying that your building, whatever ambition you had for your family, that will be complete. And this is the product that will complement the efforts of building. So that's how we've tried to relance it and reposition it. And that's how we say that Viraasat jo aapko banani hai, wo Viraasat ban ke hi rahegi. So that's how we've tried to position this whole
And
category.
it's interesting because, like you mentioned, of course, we have this innate need for security, and you know, we save. We're a saving culture as well. But at the same time, there's this aspiration for more and consumption growing. But tell me this, let me just dig into a little bit of what you said on how do you balance that, that traditional kind of fear-focused approach to storytelling with something that is, is not as much about fear, but changing the narrative a little bit in the insurance space. So any thoughts on that?
Narratives have to align with culture, right? If you have a narrative that is going against culture, then people will not resonate with either your brand or what you're trying to tell them.
They won't relate.
Yes,
right.
They won't relate. Today, people are very buoyant. They are very aspirational. They're very confident. They say that we can do it. There is the sense of anxiety that is there, but that is overpowered with the sense of positivity. So you really cannot talk to them in a way that possibly pulls them down. Your narrative has to be empowering. That you want to do this, or X, Y, Z you want to achieve, we will help you achieve it. We are your partners that will help you achieve it. So the narrative has to be empowering. There is no way in today's India that you can possibly talk about a scenario where things cannot happen, or you can paint a very sad scenario, because people won't relate to you. They may think that this is not a brand for me. And for anybody to consider your brand, empathy is very important.
Right.
And unless you talk to them in a method, in a tone, as per their desires, and offer a unique perspective, they will not relate to your brand. So there is no way you can talk in that tonality possibly anymore.
Absolutely. Empathy and empowerment, that is the theme, I think, across. Let me get into the nuts and bolts a little bit, Ashish. In terms of your media mix, in terms of, the mediums that you are using to, spread the word, put the campaign out there, target consumers, what are you looking at? Which will give us a picture of course, who you're targeting then.
Yeah. So since I said this is largely around term insurance, the key TG for term insurance lies between 25 and 45 years, right? But within this 20 and 45, there are various sub-segments, right? So there is this young professional who has possibly just entered the job market. For him or her, term insurance may mean something very different. Then there are women. Today, term insurance is not sold much to women because either, as a secondary income, or they're seen as a secondary income, or possibly they think it's not even as long as the husband is. But today, women are contributing equally into asset building. If you see more, if not more, if you see homes and the registrations of homes, you'll say they're all in joint names. So women are contributing equally to the asset building. They are contributing equally to the future of the child. Right? The school is largely chosen by the mother. The extracurricular activities, etc., are chosen by the mother. Father has a very limited role to play, let's put it that way. So today they're playing a very important role in this asset building. So we need to talk to the women, we need to get them into the fold, and we need to change the perspective that this is equally important for you, right? So you need to start looking at this instrument very, very keenly. Then there is this family man, the common man, as we say, to whom obviously everybody is talking to. Then there's the self-employed. They have a different perspective of why term insurance is relevant or not relevant for them. And then this is affluent people. So there are various stages within this 25 to 45. So there is a core piece of communication that goes out there, but the nuanced insights for each of these stages is very different as to why it will appeal to a woman, or why it will appeal to a young jobber, or why it will appeal to an affluent guy. So for us, digital becomes the key medium, because this kind of segmentation and this kind of reach is available only through digital.
Sure.
Right? So we are largely communicating digital first across most of our campaigns. And then we create messaging or pitches for each of these cohorts so that people understand why a term insurance is relevant to them. So that is what we have done. So we take a very segmented approach, a digital first approach. Also, since this is a new narrative and insurance is largely sold through an advisor, right? It is very important that everybody understands this, right? And that too in their native language. So we have translated this in around 8 or 9 languages.
Okay.
Even the website, where the landing page, as we call it, is in 8 or 9 languages because it's a new concept. We want people to understand it right in their language. Because if you see, there's I think, a PwC or KPMG report that says that for tier 2, tier 3 cities, right? If you talk, 70% of the people want the communication in their language, right? So it is very important that we have this. And also a lot of our advisors are in those cities, and for them also, their native language is their comfort. So we need to communicate. So all our, POS, our pitches, our key communications, all translated in 8 or 9 languages, so that the concept is understood right. Because this is the concept that is helping change the lens, and it's very important that people understand it right so that they can sell it right. And people who are receiving it understand it right so they can buy it right for the right reasons. So that is how. It's a largely digital first segmented approach that we take in multiple languages. That's how really that we are going. And then at times we use key properties. You can call them impact properties or premium buys in a media language that help take this narrative forward. So we look at those opportunities when we can possibly spot them in some impact shows or some spots, and then we possibly use those to further the narrative. So that's how we largely look at.
So maybe like GECs or any large IP properties that are looking at?
Correct. So we have recently, we did a collaboration with KBC where we spoke about how KBC is celebrating 25 years. So it is a kind of legacy that they have created in India. So we link that to the whole legacy narrative. We are also doing something with Indian Idol. Because Indian Idol is also about music and carrying the legacy of music forward. So we've used those narratives to further. We also have an ongoing tie-up with RCB as a partner. So we will also use cricket and IPL, which is the biggest thing, to possibly further this narrative. So we look at a BAU digital across all platforms, and then we look at such properties which allow us to take this narrative forward. You see in cricket also, protection is very core. So it just helps us, say the message a little more organically.
And relatable.
And contextually.
And contextual, relatable, like you mentioned. I think it's foundational, for instance, just to have that language proposition across for all your TGs. But let me just get into how this campaign, with this core theme of Viraasat and legacy and financial security, how does it fit into Kotak Life's larger scheme of things when it comes to brand building, your overall marketing strategy?
Sure. See, our marketing strategy is anchored around 3 core consumer questions. We very simply put the objectives. Are consumers aware about us? Do they know enough about us to consider us? Will they buy from us? Just 3 questions we try to answer, and each campaign then tries to solve whatever problem it is meant to solve. To solve this, we have created around 8 pillars in marketing that we possibly stick to. I think the core of everything today is consumer research. It was always important, but I think it's even more important today. And the reason I say that is today...
That is so refreshing to hear, by the way.
Yeah, so we invest a lot of our time in consumer research. So what we have done is we have divided our entire customer base, the kind of people we sell to, into 6 distinct customer segments, right? We keep enriching our learning in each of these segments. The reason we do this is today, consumers have a lot of information. In life insurance itself, there is so much. If you see, the NBFCs are communicating, banks are communicating, mutual funds are communicating. There is so much of clutter, and everything is about an aspirational life. It is very important to give a refreshing perspective. And you cannot give that if you do not understand the consumer and his or her aspirations deeply. And then is when you can possibly give a narrative that has a different perspective, or that is refreshing in that sense. So in Viraasat also, as I said, we followed the same thing, because otherwise a lot has been said in the last 20 years, but it's not moving the needle beyond a point.
Absolutely.
So how do you possibly, and for that deep understanding is required. So consumer research is very, very important for us as a company. The next is about using MarTech tools, right? There's a lot of talk about AI, ML, etc. So one is about scaling things while sending personalization, sending it fast, sending it at certain time slots that consumers prefer, sending in bulk, etc. that these allow. But what is also important, these is they give you a lot of signals about the consumer. What consumer opened, what kind of email, what kind of subject line worked, what time of the day did the consumer really open that piece of communication. What is it, did the consumer really click on this kind of an emailer or this kind of a WhatsApp or something? So all the signals are then brought back. And they keep enriching the consumer data. So we see it from 2. One is obviously sending communication out, but more important is also receiving all the signals and feeding it back. because that helps us, enrich
Keep
our
refining. Yeah.
our customer segments. So these two form the core. Along with that, there is something called brand love that we say, because today, as I said, consumer attention is waning. We always follow a blended approach of heart and smart, we call it. Smart because through insights, we have a lot of useful and relevant information that we want to give, so that at least we get the attention in. But also, at least I'll speak for life insurance, there is a lot of product and service parity. It's so regulated, there's very little innovation. If innovation done also can easily be, somebody else can also do it in a very short span of time. So how will a consumer eventually choose? And all the top brands are equal, almost equal on trust and convenience and everything. The question is whether you can relate to the brand. So that is where we invest in brand love content, where we use social media. We use various occasions like Mother's Day, Father's Day, maybe Raksha Bandhan, Karwa Chauth, various such occasions to create content that possibly resonates at a deeper level. And tie-ups like Indian Idol, RCB, etc., which help to create brand love for us. So we try and do that. The fourth and fifth is media and measurement. Media today, as we all know, is getting trickier and hyper-fragmented. Resources are not increasing in that proportion as much as media is, right? And with digital itself, there are so many options. There are, and the more trickier part is the algorithms of various social media platforms keep changing. Content formats keep changing. Today something else is trending, tomorrow something else will trend. Content formats are shrinking, and also then measurement needs to be done. So that is also not very clear at various points in time. So understanding this whole media framework is very important. So we keep a constant eye on that, and we keep meeting a lot of our media partners so that we're able to understand how we want to use media, rather than just being part of a trend or a frenzy that possibly may just give a tick mark of possibly looking good, but really does nothing for us. Next is measurement. Measurement, again, depending on which part of the funnel, whether it is top funnel, then you look at things like brand awareness, how many people came to the site, did my branded search queries go up, etc. Then if it's if the second level, then you look at consideration, look really did the ad imagery of the company change. Is this company, are people relating more to the company? Did people spend more time on my website? And then obviously the bottom funnel is the quality of the lead that's come in. Is it really converted into a sale, all of that? So it is really depending on that. Another very important area for us, because two key important areas. One is insurance is largely sold through the intermediary, right? So we really need to enable this person.
Right.
So a lot of work goes in enabling. There are a lot of content that we create for training, a lot of pitches that we create, a lot of collaterals in multiple languages, etc. So a lot of work goes in supporting that. And last, but by no means the least, is peer-to-peer recommendation is big today. Whatever you want to buy, if you're following a certain person or people like you have bought that, that really helps induce a purchase. So we have a very thorough influencer program actually that we run. So these are the 7 or 8 pillars around which we really anchor our entire marketing program. But research being the fulcrum of everything.
Which of course feeds into campaigns like
everything,
like this one. You've been, of course, in the BFSI space quite a while. You've seen the evolution. Tell me today, 2025, what are some of the key trends driving major shifts in BFSI marketing? And how you engage with your consumers, whether it's tech-driven or whether it is just how storytelling has changed. Zoom out and give me the big trends, big picture view.
Fair. I'll try and put a few on the table so that we can discuss it. I think one of the biggest trends is cohorts and segmentations. I think we've been toying with this idea for quite some time now. But initially, segmentation used to be few demographic and geo-led segmentation. Today, as I was saying at Kotak Life, we have segmented our customers basis almost 120 parameters.
Wow.
Okay, so what is the customer buying? What is the ticket size? What is the kind of payment frequency? How often is the person renewing? Is the person renewing a policy with a delay or before time or on time? What is the family size of the person? So there are various such parameters that are coming, which is helping us enrich our data, as I said earlier, as I mentioned earlier. So we are looking at a lot of these parameters. So 120, some, there are even more actually, frankly, but I'm just using a number. So it's across a lot of these signals. So cohorts and segmentation are going to get deeper and deeper, smarter and smarter, so that you are able to understand your consumer better. And you will see a lot of companies investing a lot of their time, energy, and resources in that field. Right. The second is, as you rightly said, MarTech tools are also here to stay, and they're here to possibly be of much more uses than just being the front end of deploying. So one is obviously it leads back into research, as I said, but even from a deployment point of view, we have just scratched the surface when it's come to AI. There is a lot to explore with AI. Today, largely it is for giving very basic signals of possibly creating a piece of content that is possibly looking good and sending it out. But it, as I said earlier also, it has a lot of use cases in subject lines. When you send an emailer, what kind of subject line is going to resonate with you vis-a-vis it's going to resonate to me? What time of the day am I supposed to shoot the emailer? AI is also influencing media in a big way. If you see how targeting in media is happening today, a lot of contextual targeting is happening because of AI. Basically, you just have to feed AI with the signals of when this kind of emotion happens, show my ad. When you see this kind of a logo, show my ad. If this kind of content is seen, because AI can read the content also. Right. Please show my ad. So a lot of contextual targeting is happening. So we'll see a lot of work that's happening in that space. Or obviously with technology, as we always say, we overestimate its we overestimate its impact in the near future and then underestimate in the long run. So we have to keep an eye. It's not that we have to jump onto every opportunity that is there. We keep an eye and see how it works for you. In fact, we are also using AI in a very interesting way at our end. For us, the advisor, right? We send insurance through the advisor. An advisor has many clients, and there are various pitches. So now we have got a technology through which we can customize pitches in the advisor's voice and give it to him, which he can then give it to his customers. It's almost like the advisor talking to you on WhatsApp, right? So with his image, with his voice, we can shoot him. And we can shoot him once and then we can deploy. Same tone and quality. And then he can just deploy it all. So he need not really meet them or send them a brochure, which people don't. Like people engage better with video content, right? So we've enabled that for advice. So there are many such use cases where I think tech is going to come in a big way to possibly help. I think third is experiences. Today, if you see, there are reports that say along with the product and service, consumers are rating experience as equally important, experience of interacting with the brand. So even if you're a legacy brand, but you don't give the right experience, he or she is ready to move to the next brand that's providing the right experience. The right experience is almost rated at 90-95% consumers as equally important as the product and service. So brands will have to invest a lot in providing the right experience, seamless experience, and an omni-channel experience. Because today we have a lot of touch points. Brands have, got a website, they've got a call center, they've got an app, they've got a bot. Experience varies. You will have to give a possibly, seamless experience so that when you're moving from one to the second to the third, there is no break in that journey.
The most simplified version of how you then make your decisions, what is that one filter when it comes to your media choices?
When it comes to
or strategizing,
media, for me, media means where the consumer is. So we don't plan media, we plan the consumer. If the consumer is going, we have segments, right? Where this TG is going. Depending on where the TG is going, we are planning our media. So there could be one TG that's only on social. So there could be a media plan that's got nothing but social. And social also will be over-anchored on possibly one platform. Because you realize if you take all three, you have a 90% duplication. What do you do with all three then? Right? So it's really, we are not planning media, we are planning audiences. So that is one way we are looking at it.
How do you strike that balance between emotional storytelling and business impact?
As I said, somewhere in the conversation, heart and smart. A lot of work going into creating the smart, as I said, all of these signals, all of this research, etc., creating smart content, which is relevant, contextual, and useful. All three, because otherwise there is no interest garnered. But once this is, and the person is inside, and the person is possibly considering 4 or 5 brands, how do you create? Then that is where brand love has a strong role to play. Yeah, really, if you talk about persuasion, there are 3 Ps, okay, that we also talk about. One is people, knowing your TG. The second is pursuit. What are the goals and the dreams that these people are pursuing? And the third is perspective. What is the new perspective or the empowering perspective that you are offering them that they will consider you? So it's actually access on these 3 Ps.
Well said. It's a great note to end our conversation on, the 3 Ps, and of course, heart and smart. Thank you so much for your time,
Thank you so
Ashish.
much.
Great chatting with you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.